Good night. Hope you are well. Welcome to our live webinar. Tonight we have the honor to have with us a certificated sleep specialist in children from 0 to 5 years old. Welcome, Jill. Jill is co-owner and founder of Dulces Sueños Sleep Consulting, and she is going to talk about sleep for babies and young kids, why and how to safeguard sleep during the quarantine. She also will answer all your questions at the end. Thank you, Jill.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. We're going to talk a bit about sleep for babies and young kids and how to manage during this quarantine, some tips and just basic like troubleshooting problems that could arise. Jill and Vivian is my partner. She's not here tonight, but both of us are part of Dulces Sueños. We've been working helping families for 5 years now. We've helped over 700 families all over the world. So this is great for us. We love it. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of sleep, just to kind of, we all know it's important, but let's dig a little bit deeper to understand and kind of get into the mood of why we need to be taking care of sleep during these times. The lack of sleep affects babies and children. We're talking here children up to 5 years old is our specialty, but really this applies to school year aged children as well. The lack of sleep affects their growth because during the night, the brain produces the growth hormones that we need to grow and to develop. So this is very important for their development. The lack of sleep will also start affecting their mood and the regulation of emotions, right? So here's when you get lots of tantrums and just not being able to handle frustration, biting on the playground, or just really getting upset about things, all those things. Sleep is what helps to regulate them. Then sleep also, it helps us strengthen our immune system, which is extremely important right now. So less sicknesses, and then when we do get a sickness, getting enough rest will help us get through it quicker. And sleep affects also our attention, children's attention and learning abilities. So like a lot of times even ADHD has been misdiagnosed for just lack of sleep. So it's really quite important because sometimes when children are overtired, they can become really irritable, but they can also kind of become like they get a second wind of energy. So that's when you see, children late at night running throughout the whole house, jumping, and they just look like they're never, ever gonna fall asleep. So that's like the second wind that they got because they didn't go to sleep when they were initially tired and now they're just overtired. So the sleep kind of helps all that, right? Being able to, the next day to focus and learn and really take in everything they're learning. During the night, the brain also kind of like cleans the mind from all the toxins that we're exposed to all day. So that's really important as well. In adults, sorry, I have a typo there. In adults, of course, the lack of sleep affects as well. I think it goes without being said. We've all been there, right? It affects our health. Lots of people get headaches or just not feeling well, just feeling tired all day, like groggy. So it affects our health. It affects our mood and regulation of emotions as well. So right now, especially our patience with the kids and with the virtual classes and everything. I mean, it's really important to be able to have enough patience. The ability to concentrate depends a lot on having a good night's sleep. Of course, the relationship with our spouse, again, especially during this time that it's so stressful. I mean, every family is living a different work situation and anxiety levels and everything. So because you have less patience, you're irritable, it can definitely start affecting your relationship with your spouse and also with your children, right? Because if there's less patience, there's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of getting upset. So it's really important for the whole family to be getting enough sleep and for the importance of sleep to be a priority in the family. Some specific tips during quarantine that we've seen are being issues, let's say. So some tips: get them outside enough time. So at least maybe twice a day, at least 15 minutes. They need the sun, they need the wind, the sensories that you get outside. They need the vitamin D from the sun. And then they need also the exercise. So maybe they're not going to get quite as much exercise as they used to get. Definitely, they probably won't get enough as much exercise as they used to, but at least let's try for enough, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you get them tired, they're gonna sleep. I mean, a kid who doesn't sleep well won't sleep just because they got more exercise, but it's important that their body's in movement. I mean, just like us, right? Like when we're sitting down all day, we kind of get lethargic. Definitely important to be limiting screen time, which I know is really hard right now. But at least turn off screens up to 2 hours before bedtime. It's been proven that the lights that emit from the screens, they prolong the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that we need to sleep. So its onset gets prolonged. So that's when kids start having a really hard time falling asleep. And those first few hours in the night are really important. So the recommendation is to turn off screens up to 2 hours before bedtime. Personally, I don't think it affects every child the same way, but if you're having sleeping issues, I would definitely start there. Try to just stick to your normal schedule and routines, just like we were just talking about a little while ago before the call with the teacher. It's really important to try to, and it's really difficult. Nobody's saying here it's easy, but try to go kind of like think back. Okay, what were we doing before? What was the routine that was working? And what was the schedule that was working? And try to kind of go back to that, even though it's difficult. In general, you want to monitor what children are hearing about the pandemic, right? We don't want to make them, we have to be conscious, because even when we're talking about small children, you don't know what they're taking in. They might misunderstand something. They might hear something on the news. They might see something on the news that then kind of stays around there. So just monitor what's going on. And in general, try to control levels of stress and anxiety in the house. Obviously, that's hard, but they kind of take in everything that's going on. So if we're really stressed, it's going to be quite normal for them to feel stressed. With kids who can already verbalize, you can ask them, you know, what do you have any questions, or what do you know about this? Kind of start there just to measure where they are before you give too much information that maybe they're not ready for. But they might, it's important to see if they have questions, if they have any things that they want to, you know, get cleared up, or if they're nervous, and then just maybe just talking about it is enough to make them feel better. Okay, some possible problems, and here please feel free to ask any specific questions, but I just kind of try to summarize some of the problems that we know a lot of kids are going through right now. And remember, we're talking here about, you know, children who are still younger than 5. Nap refusals are really common. Maybe before they used to fall asleep in the car on the way home, or, you know, the routine. Now, maybe before they had a quiet house because their older siblings weren't home yet, but now everybody's home. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of action. They don't want to miss out. So they might start refusing naps. The first thing is to keep insisting. Don't give up too quickly, because it could just be, you know, like we call it a nap strike, which are normal in their development, where they just, you know, for a few days just don't want to nap. But if you're consistent about continuing to offer the nap, they'll eventually kind of come around again. And then if you really see that the nap is just impossible, let's say maybe a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, and it's just, you know, not going to happen, at least try to leave 1 hour quiet time at that time around 12:30 or 1 in the afternoon, like after lunch, just to give them the chance to kind of rest, even if they don't fall asleep. And maybe one day, you know, if they're really tired, they will fall asleep, and that day will be a better day for them. And as long as they're not napping, definitely bring bedtime up earlier. So even as early as 5:30 p.m. is completely okay at this age. And they should sleep perfectly until 5:30 or 6 the next day. That is much more ideal than trying to keep them up during the night and then have a late bedtime and possible night wakings. Another very possible problem that you might be having is a late bedtime. So again, try to go back to your pre-quarantine schedule. I know it's really difficult right now. But it might end up helping not only them, but you as well. If bedtime is getting too late, it could also just speed up the nap. You know, at a certain age, some kids need to shorten their nap. So just start slowly, maybe like shortening 15 minutes for 3 days in a row. And if that's still having, if they're still having problems falling asleep before 8 p.m., that's kind of our target here. We want them asleep by 8 p.m. the latest. So if they're still not falling asleep by 8, then we want to shorten another 15 minutes for another 3 days. We can go as short as 1 hour. So the nap can end up being just 1 hour. We wake them up and then we have a bedtime before 8 p.m. Also, it seems counterintuitive, right? It seems like that's ridiculous. How would putting them to bed earlier help them fall asleep earlier or faster? But in a lot of times it just works. Just if we get them in bed while they're, yes, tired, but not overtired yet, that can just make everything easier. In general, the whole routine, not just falling asleep. They'll get into bed easier. They'll have less tantrums. They'll put up less of a fight to get into bed and to fall asleep. So just making bedtime earlier is always helps. Then another way is also you can implement a longer bedtime routine. So maybe they're just at an age, or because of all the action that's going on in the home and the change of routine, maybe they just need like a longer transition period from active, you know, we're all in the house and we're playing and it's been a great day, to it's time to turn off and go to sleep. So sometimes just adding into your routine, maybe a little bit of quiet reading or a massage, or, you know, whatever seems to work for the family, but just like that longer transition, to give them more time to understand that we're changing, that we're not playing anymore. And talking to them is always a good idea, right? Explaining, you know, everyone goes to sleep. We need to sleep because we need to have energy to play tomorrow. And you can talk about all the great things you can do tomorrow if we sleep. So talking and explaining is always a good idea. And like we said before, you can also try turning screens off 2 hours before bedtime. This applies to nap as well. If you're having problems with the nap, it could also be screen issues. Another possible problem that could be happening is night wakings, right? Maybe a kid that was sleeping through the night now starts waking up. So moving up bedtime is always a good idea. That could always help. Talking to them as well, right? Just making sure, seeing if they're just, you know, anxious, or it's hard for them as well, because in many cases, they're not used to spending so much time with the family, right? So there's a lot of separation anxiety as well, because they're not used, now they're with us all the time, and suddenly at night, you know, we have to separate. So that could also be affecting. Then I just wanted to talk about, lastly, family meetings. So with toddlers aged from 2 years old and up, we use in our sleep plans a lot of family meetings. This is like a great way to kind of reset, right? So we sit down with all the members of the family. Even if the issue is just with one of them, we want to make sure the whole family is there so that they don't feel pinpointed. They feel like it's something the whole family is involved with. We want to plan ahead so that we make sure that we're going to approach it in the best way, in the sense that we're going to get their attention the best. So try to think like what motivates your child, you know, what way they like to get the information the most, whether they like videos or they like photos. Just kind of plan ahead. And this is where we're going to present to them the new rules. So that's why I'm saying it's like a reset. You know, like when there's too many things going on and we need to make a few changes. Okay, guys, from now on, you know, these are the new family rules, and this is what it is. It's not up for questioning. And after that, it's just essential to make sure that the parents stick to the new rules and definitely be firm with the limits. It's not easy, but children need this. They need routine. They need limits. You're gonna see after the tantrum goes through, after they protest the changes, you're gonna realize that they needed them as well. So that's really important to just stick to them, even in those moments where it's so hard. I don't know, Ivania, if you want to open up kind of for questions.
Yes, I have a question. How can we manage as a parent if our son start to, for example, to fight, like now we are in bed, it's time to sleep, but I need to go to the bathroom, I need to drink water, start to talk about something, so he is refusing to go to sleep. How can we as a parent manage that?
So again, just setting the rules before is a really good idea. You know, like, okay, when is the last time he can drink water or go to the bathroom? Or at what point do we stop talking and turn off the lights? That could make, we could make it very clear, whether it's with a clock or a timer, or after we sing the song or we pray the prayer. Just kind of like basically a routine where he'll know what to expect. It won't be a surprise. And then what's really hard and important is to kind of stick to it. So even if he melts down because he wants another book or another song or another water, just stick to what you decided. You know, if the rules are written, they kind of take it a little bit more seriously. Or if there's a clock, you can kind of blame it on the clock, and it's not you, it's the clock. You know, the clock says that it's this time. One idea that we use once in a while is cards. So like, let's say you have maybe 2 cards, free passes for the night, so he can ask for 2 things. And then once the cards are done, he can't ask for anything else. That could also work. Reward charts, sticker charts, all that kind of stuff. Not small prizes, those don't work. They only work temporarily. But like sticker charts where they can see their progress, and the best reward really is the intrinsic one. So stroking their ego, right? Like making them feel fantastic about having slept so well, or having stuck to the rules, or having gone to bed without a protest. All those things, like, just make a really big deal about how great they did it.
Okay. Someone else want to make a question? Yes, I can unmute you. Wait. Enough.
Okay, I will try in English. Hi, Jill. Thank you very much. Hi, Miss Araya. Hi, Miss Ivani.
Hey.
Okay, I have a 4-year-old, Jill. All what you have been saying, it's my case. I need a kiss. I need another hug. I need 2 songs. I need 2 stories or 3. And then I want to tell you a story. And then, but it will help definitely, this thing from the cards, because she likes playing. So I'm gonna try it. But what is happening is 2 weeks ago we start waking up at night. We have a very good routine. We go to sleep from maybe 7 to 8. It's the hour of going to sleep. We take a bath since she was born, and at night, so 6:30 or a little bit earlier, she takes her dinner. We don't have any problems with this process. She needs sometimes she needs more time for the routine, so do it slowly. Maybe I have less time. I'm rushing sometimes, and I know that. So I try to send somebody else. But if I don't go with her to bed, I think she has an excuse to wake up at night. That's what I think. Or I want to go to the bathroom. Mommy, I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm scared. And I have seen the Monsters Inc., and now I'm scared about nothing. So she has new excuses every time, but that's since 2 weeks ago. So sometimes I have to wake up 3 times. Sometimes it's 1 time. I'm not always laughing. And the first thing she's telling me, ¿Estás feliz? Are you happy? No.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know what you see in this case. I know each case is different, but maybe you have, surely you have a lot of things to tell me. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Okay, silencio. Lo silenciaré.
She's cute. So I hate to sound repetitive, but I would definitely start by starting the routine earlier and maybe even getting her into bed earlier. I have 6-year-old twins and they're in bed between ideally 7. I know 7 is the right time for them. Sometimes it gets a little bit later, but I know that they'll feel better in the morning if I get them in earlier, because they'll wake up at 6 no matter what, whether they went to sleep at 6:30, 7, 7:30, or 8. That's usually the case. If it's not the case with her, if she kind of sleeps in longer in the morning, you can kind of have a little leeway there. But definitely before 8, you want her asleep. The first few hours before midnight are the most important ones, and you can't make them up later in the morning. So that's important. And then also all this thing about being scared and everything, she probably picked up on that. If she uses that phrase, she'll get a reaction, right? She'll get, oh, okay, then yes, come here, give me a hug, stay in my bed. So she probably picked up on that. So maybe you could talk about it before, right? Like go over, like, you don't have to be scared. And then when she does say something, don't overreact about it. I mean, you definitely want to make sure there's nothing there important. But if it's just excuses. Also, I've had lots of results with getting her like a dream catcher. You could even make it together. And yes, and then kind of like, go over it and say, like, with the dream catcher, there's no way you can have a bad dream. So you put it wherever you want, under your pillow, next on your bed, wherever you want. And then just kind of take this attitude where no, there's no bad dreams. Come on, you need to sleep. When you take her back during the night, try not to give her any attention, because that's what she's looking for, whether it's positive attention or negative attention. So just be really cold with her so that she doesn't have any reason to keep looking for it. I hope that helps. If not, send me a note and we can see what else.
Definitely. We have that dream catcher. I'm really cold, and I was feeling bad because being cold.
And Jill, for example, if she wakes up, so I need to walk with her and go to the bed and put the blanket and say good night, everything is going to be okay, and then go back to my room, or just say go back to your room? How can I manage that?
It kind of depends. You can feel it out and see what works. Definitely, I'd start with no attention. So no re-tucking into bed and comforting and hugging and kissing, because they'll keep. The way we work with children this age is we walk them back, but we can stay with them. There's a method to be able to stay with them, but this has to be, it can't be, when she wakes up at 1, I can do it, but when she wakes up at 3, I just let her in my bed. And then when she, tomorrow I'm exhausted, so I don't even do it at all. I mean, whatever you decide needs to be really consistent. It needs to start out with a family meeting. It needs to have like a whole plan to it. You need to put them down at the right time at night, not when they're overtired, because you're giving them, a disadvantage. You're kind of setting them up to fail. So then just be whatever you decide, whether you're going to stay with them while they fall asleep or just go back and be really, strict about staying in your room. It just needs to be really consistent.
So it could be important to add one rule, like if you wake up during the night, this is the way that we are going to follow up?
You can explain.
Okay.
Get it pretty quickly. At the first time, they'll understand. They'll try to get you to talk. Like she does, right? Are you happy? Are you happy? Like try to get some interaction. So the recommended thing is not to interact.
Jill, one question. Do you think something that she's eating could be having something to do with chocolate or something specific?
It seems like, I mean, use your intuition if you definitely think, I mean, a lot of sugar can affect some kids, and right now it's hard to control the amount of sugar because they're home all day, and, you know, they can just walk into the kitchen and grab sweets and stuff. It's not usually the case, but if you kind of feel it, you can try limiting it and see if it goes better.
I have a question. Well, actually, there's two. What can be your opinion about thinking when a child wakes up in the morning at night to give them a flashlight? It's that appropriate, just in case. For my son, he's used to sleep with tiny or soft light, but really, really soft, because he says that he doesn't like the darkness. So he's used to that because of me, because I was used to use it. So you know that we go like in that same situation. So he sleeps with this soft light, but sometimes when the electricity is gone, he has this flashlight, so he feels a little bit more safe. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. But 2 nights ago, the electricity was gone, and he just yelled to me, "Mommy!" I waked up, I went to his room, and I just asked him, "What happened?" "There's no electricity. You have your flashlight. Is that okay?" And he was like in panic and doing the whole thing. So I just turned back and I said, "Okay, this is the thing. You have your flashlight. See you. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry." So what do you think? It is appropriate? It makes me, I think he feels a little bit like safe, and it works. And just like you mentioned, I was like a very strict in the moment, and I just turns around and get, "Oh no, no, I'm so sorry. I want to go my bed. I want to go back to my bed. I'm so tired. If you want to stay wake, it's your option. But I don't wanna. I don't want. I want to go back to my bed. I'm tired." So I just turn around, and I don't know what happens. So I don't know at what time the electricity came back. I don't know. But he was with his flashlight. So what do you think? It is appropriate?
Yeah, I think that if it's working, it's perfect. I mean, we usually recommend to have the room as dark as possible. But especially in a child that's already older, and you know, if he's used to the light, that's fine. And the flashlight, I think, is a great idea if that helps him feel safe. Perfect.
The second question? No?
No, it was about the light. If she recommends, because he's used to sleeps like that with really soft light, because he says that he doesn't like the darkness. So, and he feels afraid. He doesn't like it. And it's amazing how when the electricity is gone, he just wakes up, boom, but very like he feels it. He feels the darkness, and he doesn't like it. So he wakes up very like scared and so like, "Oh mama, I'm so," and he started talking about monsters and the shadows, and I just turns around and, "Mi vida, so this is what you're seeing, is the shadow from this game, or the shadow for, you have the planets on the roof, so the shadow comes from the planet Earth," and things like that. So I tried to explain everything, but he's like going and he needs more and more. So I just stopped. But the thing comes about the darkness. It's just
Maybe you want to try explaining it during the day, right? Like how electricity works and why sometimes it gets cut off. And also, at least in my house, when the electricity goes off, there's like a few electrodomestics that make noises. So it might not even be the darkness that wakes them up. It might be one of those things making like a beeping sound that happens at my house. So you could also kind of, during the day when you're explaining to him, you can say that sometimes can happen, things can start beeping, or, you know, and maybe that'll help him kind of understand it the next time it happens.
I have my last question. Okay, if a kid with this situation invert or has their sleep schedule changing a lot, how can we go back to the other schedule? Just we start, I don't know, like today I'm going to start to get the old schedule, or I need to do it progressive, or how can we do it that?
It's not common for that to happen after they're just for young babies. It can definitely happen, but I would say, I mean, I guess we could kind of treat it like jet lag, right? So like when you change schedules by 7-8 hours, so kind of just get on the new schedule as quick as possible. And maybe the first few days you'll be, you know, extra tired, but just kind of try to keep them up at least till, you know, 5:30 p.m. is the default perfectly emergency night time. And just, you know, every day maybe adjust it a little bit more. Getting them outside. Sunlight is what regulates our circadian rhythms. That's, you know, that's what keeps them in tune. So definitely making sure that we get them outside during the day. Maybe at first, the first few days, make sure that when it starts getting into nightfall, maybe all the lights in the house start going dim and the volume starts going down, kind of like marking the difference clearly. And that should get him back on track.
Okay, excellent. More questions, comments?
There, if more questions.
Thank you very much.
Also on our social media, we give lots of information, tips, answer questions, so anything you need.
So thank you so much, Jill, to share with us all your knowledge about this important and helpful topic. I'm sure that we are going to use all these tips every night because sleep is an essential part of keeping healthy and happy during this time, especially. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope it does help.
Thank you.
It's going to be